To Capital Radio.
Thank you very much. Nice
Once
to be
again.
back.
It always happens, doesn't it? Thank you for coming to Capital Radio, and it's nice to be back, but it really is nice to see you back. What's been happening since Corridors of Power?
Well, I've been all over the world since then, promoting the album, and I've been in the studio recording my second album, Victims of the Future.
How long did this album take?
The new one took about 10 weeks, which was quite a lot longer than the last one. Due to some teething troubles we had in the studio. We were using a new studio this time, and we had a few problems, so we got a bit behind on the old schedule for a while, but it turned out okay in the end.
Tell us something about teething troubles in studios, for instance. I mean, because when people hear this new album, Victims of the Future, they might like to know what some of the teething troubles were.
Well, we were using a studio called Sarm West, which was originally the old Island Studios in Basing Street in London, and they put all this new equipment in and stuff, which didn't work properly, so we had a lot of breakdowns, and consequently we couldn't get things down as fast as we wanted to. There was a lot of hanging around for the first 2 weeks and stuff, and it had quite a detrimental effect on the people in the band at one point. Nobody felt like playing, because every time we'd start to record something, everything would fall apart and we'd have to start again. It was just driving us all nuts, But
tell me something, as a musician and as collective musicians on this album, how do you pick yourself up from a situation like that? Is it terribly difficult? Or?
Well, really, you have to take a break for a couple of days and kind of almost treat it like starting all over again, The closer you get involved, and the more you get involved in it, the harder it is to really see clearly what's going wrong. So we just, took a few days off and let the engineers get in there and strip it all down and start again, and that seemed to work.
You virtually go back to square one,
yeah? Yeah, we did, yeah.
And pick yourself up and start all over again. Yeah. The album, you say, took something like 10 weeks to make. How long was the preparatory period of songwriting?
Not that long this time. It was quite a lot shorter than Corridors of Power, which was written over a period of probably 6 months or a year or something like that. But this time the songs were written over about 6 or 8 weeks, having returned from America and starting from scratch rather than sort of writing while I was on tour and everything, because everything that I did have before the American tour I scrapped, and I just, came back and started fresh and worked on it from there.
Your American tour also took in Japan, didn't it, I think?
Yeah, we went to Japan, America, Scandinavia, Europe, did the whole circuit, as it were.
Gary, how long has it taken Japanese audiences to really latch on to Western rock music, do you think?
I think it's still quite new to them. People say that, there have been bands touring out there for the last sort of 10 years, but I think only the last 5 years has seen like a real upsurge in the enthusiasm they have over rock, and certainly over guitarists, because they're kind of guitar fanatics in Japan, which is why we do so well there.
There's always the interviewer's question to a rock musician, and indeed to any musician at all, as to how audiences react, or do they react differently from abroad as they do here in the UK?
Yes, they do.
Is there any great difference? And if there is, can you tell us about it?
Sure. Well, the Japanese audience are the most peculiar, because when you go out there and play for them, the first thing you notice is that they're all sitting down very quietly and very respectfully while you're playing a song. And you think, I'm not doing too well here. And then all of a sudden, at the end of the number, they all get up and go crazy. And it's like this kind of controlled hysteria. And then they all sit down again, and they listen to the next song, and then it follows, and then at the end of the night, they just go bananas. But it's all kind of very controlled and contained, you know. Whereas in America, they just go absolutely wally, all the time. They never shut up while you're playing or not, They just
of course, I think that may well be because of Japanese discipline.
Yes.
In their youth, and which is a kind of a tradition of theirs, isn't it? I mean,